Some companies changed the world. Some tried to. Some just convinced everyone they already had. This is built to fall. Every week, one company, one rise, one collapse, and the decisions that made it inevitable. Every empire has a beginning, a moment where one person, one idea, one decision set everything in motion. And every empire has an end. Sometimes it's slow. Sometimes it's violent. Sometimes it happens in 47 days. This channel exists for one reason, to show you exactly how the biggest companies in history were built, and exactly how they were destroyed. Because the rise is always a lesson, but the fall is always a warning. WeWork, the $47 billion lie. In 2019, one company was worth more than Boeing. It didn't make planes. It didn't make software. It didn't cure diseases. It rented desks. And the man running it had convinced the smartest investors on the planet to hand him $47 billion for a real estate company he'd dressed up in a hoodie and called a tech startup. This is the story of how it all collapsed in 47 days. Adam Neumann grew up on a kibbutz in Israel. Communal living, shared spaces, shared meals, shared everything. That childhood never left him. When he landed in New York in his 20s, he had no money, no connections, and one obsession. What if going to work felt like belonging to something instead of just showing up somewhere? In 2010, he co-founded WeWork. The idea was brutally simple. Lease large floors from landlords at wholesale rates. Subdivide them. Rent smaller spaces to freelancers and startups at retail prices. Put exposed brick on the walls, free beer on tap, plants everywhere, and call it a movement. It worked. By 2014, WeWork was valued at $1.5 billion. By 2017, $20 billion. SoftBank, one of the most powerful investment funds on the planet, wrote a check for $4.4 billion after a 12-minute meeting with Neumann. 12 minutes. $4.4 billion. Neumann was flying private. He had a guitar signed by John Lennon. He was buying artificial surfing waves in the Maldives. He hosted company events that felt like rock concerts. He told staff they were not employees. They were members of a movement to elevate the world's consciousness. And the numbers seemed to back it all up. 400,000 members, 111 cities, $1.8 billion in revenue. The story was perfect, except the story was a lie. Here is what nobody said out loud. WeWork was losing $2 for every single $1 it made. In 2018 alone, it burned through $1.9 billion. It had signed itself into 15 and 20-year leases on office buildings across the world. But it was renting those same spaces to members month to month. One recession, one bad quarter, one global event. Members walk out overnight. WeWork still owes billions in rent. It was not a tech company. It was a landlord with a $47 billion marketing budget. But Neumann had a gift that no spreadsheet could measure. He could walk into a room and make you feel like you were betting against humanity itself if you didn't believe in him. SoftBank's Masayoshi Son, a man who had seen everything, gave Neumann more money than any startup founder in Silicon Valley history. Not because the numbers made sense, but because Neumann made him feel like he was funding the next stage of human civilization. Then came the IPO, and everything changed. In August 2019, WeWork filed its S-1, the document every company must release before going public. Every number, every risk, every structure, legally required, nowhere to hide. Wall Street read it, and the laughter was not kind. The losses were catastrophic. The company structure was unlike anything analysts had seen. Neumann had arranged his shares to carry 20 votes each, meaning no board, no investor, no one could remove him. His wife had contractual power to choose his successor. He had personally borrowed $700 million against his own WeWork stock and used part of that money to buy buildings, which he then leased back to WeWork. He was charging rent to his own company, collecting from himself. The valuation banks had whispered, $60 billion, maybe $90 billion, collapsed to $10 billion in real time as journalists published story after story. Then $8 billion. The IPO was pulled entirely. The banks walked away. 6 weeks after the S1 dropped, Adam Neumann was removed as CEO from the company he had built from nothing. He left with a $1.7 billion exit package. WeWork filed for bankruptcy in November 2023. The company that was going to change how humanity worked, lived, and connected, sold off its offices for whatever it could get. Thousands of employees lost their jobs. Thousands of investors lost billions. And Adam Neumann? He raised $350 million in 2022 to start a new company, a residential real estate startup, built around the idea of community. This is what this channel is really about. Not just the money, not just the drama. It is about understanding that behind every headline, behind every valuation, behind every visionary, there are decisions, warnings, patterns, things that make total sense in hindsight, and almost nobody sees coming. WeWork was not the first time a founder sold a story bigger than the business, and it will not be the last. Every week on this channel, we go inside one company, one rise, one fall, and we show you exactly what happened and exactly why. If that is the kind of story you want to understand, you already know what to do. We will see you in the next one.